information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Kevin Siepel, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the June 18th issue of the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Here's an article entitled Marilla Board to Decide Rezone. Judge Wants to Operate Farm on Property by David Dahl. A town of Marilla judge has requested a rezoning of his land to allow a part-time farm. The town board set a public hearing about a request to rezone a property from rural residential to agricultural the night of Thursday, June 11th. Town Justice William Albers has asked for the rezoning on his nearly 20-acre property at 11965 Liberia Road for chickens, a pasture, and possibly other animals. He wants to run a part-time farm, Supervisor Earl Gingrich, Jr. said. The board scheduled the public hearing for 7 p.m. July 9th at the beginning of the next meeting. In addition, the board declared the town government the lead agency for the rezoning. Board members approved both items 4-0, with Councilman Randy Reichert absent. Gingrich expects no opposition to the request. In another matter, the Marilla Veterans Club hopes to attract more members in the upcoming months. Chuck Manganaro, the club's commander, told the board that the club has a new 77-year-old member and would like to find more veterans. Afterward, he explained that some veterans do not consider joining because they are busy raising children. They're just not ready to join, he said. He also mentioned the veterans will lead the Independence Day Parade at 2 p.m. July 4th near the Marilla Fireman's Field at 1940 West Avenue. Any vet is welcome to march, he said. In an item added to the agenda during the meeting, the board authorized the Highway Department to buy a Ford loader for $7,200 and declare a Mack dump truck as a surplus vehicle to be sold for $11,200. End of article. Here's an article entitled Route 20A and Route 78 Intersection Project in Early Design Stages by Sherry Ferrullo. The New York State Department of Transportation, the DOT, has confirmed with the town board that a project involving the intersection of U.S. Route 20A and New York Route 78 in the town of Wales is underway, but it remains in the very early stages of planning. Town Councilman David Newman said he contacted DOT Region 5 to follow up on local concerns that a roundabout may be planned for the intersection. According to Newman, the state agency said the project is currently in what it calls the pre-preliminary design phase. At this stage, engineers are collecting survey data, reviewing traffic conditions, and developing potential design concepts. DOT has not selected a final design, and a roundabout is only one of several options being considered. The project is currently scheduled for a spring 2028 letting, meaning construction is still a couple of years away. Newman said DOT emphasized that the town of Wales will be involved before any proposal is presented publicly. Initial outreach to town officials is expected later this summer, with broader public engagement planned during the next phase of design. End of article. Here's an article entitled Think Twice Before Cutting Down That Tree by Hans Kunz. I consider myself fortunate to talk to so many friends, readers, and bird feed customers about birds. People have all kinds of good questions and like to share their bird encounters and photos with me. One group of birds that is frequently discussed is woodpeckers. I'm not an expert on them, but I seem to be especially fond of them. It could be because when I was about 8, I was already very interested in birds and nature. My parents gave me a bird feeder for Christmas, and one of the first birds to use it was the red-bellied woodpecker. I had never noticed one before that, but was infatuated with it. Then to top it off, my second-grade teacher, Grace Wheeler at Wyoming Central School, had us learn about 20 species of birds that could be found on the average farm or homestead. Back then, there were many, many more small farms in operation than there are today. Mrs. Wheeler was a wonderful teacher and an inspiration to me, as were my parents, in further encouraging me to enjoy the wonders of birds and nature. There are 7 species of woodpeckers in western and central New York. Can you name them? 2 of them do not have the word woodpecker in their name, even though they truly are woodpeckers. They are pileated, red-bellied, downy, hairy, and red-headed woodpeckers, plus the northern flicker and the yellow-bellied sapsucker. I could do a whole article on each one of them, but we will only discuss some highlights here in the limited space that we have. Pileateds are the big woody woodpecker-like birds with a crest on their heads, very impressive, and actually quite common, known for hammering apart old decayed tree stumps and dead trees with their powerful beaks. Their loud call is quite familiar to many people, and they often allow people in cars to get close to them while they are working on an insect-rich log or tree. The red-bellied is a common feeder bird and is often wrongly called red-headed because it has an orangey red top of head and nape, but not a dark red entire head like that of the true red-headed woodpecker. Red-headeds are quite scarce in our region, but are very common in the Midwest. They are also migratory, whereas the red-bellied is here year-round. I am always in awe as I see the redhead and the black and white flashes when they fly. I've had several reports of red-headeds showing up at feeding stations this spring. Often they are in migration and are only passing through. But if they are at your feeding station in June, it likely means that there is a nesting pair near you. When you see 2 of them, you can assume they are nesting nearby. It's a real treat to have them. Most people are familiar with the downy and its close relative, the larger hairy woodpecker. The size of the bird is the best way to tell them apart, but also their calls are different. A helpful tip is that the beak of a hairy is proportionally much bigger than the beak of a downy. Females of both species do not have a red dot on the back of their head. Northern flickers are a bit bigger than red-bellied and have yellow primary feathers underneath and a distinct white rump when they fly up from the ground, where they do much of their feeding, especially enjoying ants. The sapsucker makes small holes in certain species of trees and eats the sap and the insects that get trapped in the sap. The sapsucker at first resembles a downy or a hairy, but with a closer look it's different. Look for the large white vertical wing patch. Many people immediately cut down trees that are dying or are dead. That makes sense if it is a safety issue. Aesthetics comes into play as well. However, woodpeckers use dead trees to find wood-decaying insects, larvae, and they make nesting cavities in them as well. Dead trees attract woodpeckers to your yard, and they are fascinating to watch. Please think twice before cutting down dead trees. So often I have people telling me that the woodpeckers are killing their trees. Wrong. Often woodpeckers can save an insect-infested tree by intercepting insect tunnels in the tree trunk, thus actually extending the life of the tree. Again, think twice before cutting down a tree. Also, often woodpeckers are pecking on the wood siding of barns or homes, which annoys the owner. But the woodpecker is finding insects there which may be doing more harm than the woodpecker. Don't get mad at the woodpecker. It may be telling you that there is a problem. I enjoy hearing from you. Enjoy each day and the woodpeckers that God gives us on this beautiful earth. End of article. This article is entitled Early Voting Total After 3 Days in Erie County. More than 2,500 ballots have been cast during the first 3 days of early voting for the June 23rd primary elections, according to Erie County Board of Elections Commissioners Ralph M. Moore and Howard J. Johnson, Jr. The commissioners announced Monday evening that 1,039 voters cast ballots on the third day of early voting, bringing the adjusted 3-day total to 2,532. Democrats accounted for the overwhelming majority of ballots cast so far, with 2,513 votes. Republicans cast 12 ballots, and conservatives cast 7. Among the major local contests, 1,319 ballots were cast in the Democratic primary for the 61st Senate District, while 634 ballots were cast in the Democratic primary for the 23rd Congressional District. Another 606 ballots were cast in the Democratic primary for the 149th Assembly District. 9 ballots were cast in the Republican primary for Collinstown Justice. Election officials noted that the total number of ballot styles cast in those races is 2,568, because some voters are eligible to participate in more than one contest due to overlapping districts. The totals also include ballots cast in the statewide Democratic primary for New York State Controller, as well as Democratic, Republican, and Conservative county committee races in the city of Buffalo and the towns of Amherst and Grand Island. Early voting continues through Sunday, June 21st, at 38 polling stations across Erie County. Voters may cast ballots at any early voting site regardless of where they live within the county. End of article. Here's an article entitled Republican Legislators Question ErieNet Costs and Delays. Republican members of the Erie County Legislature are raising concerns about the future of ErieNet, questioning the project's cost, management, and lack of progress after 7 years of development. During an Economic Development Committee meeting on June 4th, Republican lawmakers criticized the county-owned broadband network, noting that it remains non-operational despite approximately $40 million in public investment. We are 7 years in, and what do we have to show for it? Nothing, Erie County legislator Frank Todaro said during the meeting. This just goes to show you that the government should not be in this business. ErieNet is a county-owned fiber-optic broadband network managed by ErieNet, a nonprofit local development corporation. The project was launched to expand broadband infrastructure throughout Erie County. Republican legislators said they are concerned that no competitive bidding process was conducted before moving forward with the project. They argued that without a formal request for proposals or RFP process, the county cannot determine whether private sector providers could have offered competitive alternatives. Lawmakers also questioned the involvement of county employees who serve on the ErieNet board while advocating for the network's implementation. ErieNet has missed deadline after deadline and still has not delivered on the promises made to taxpayers, Erie County legislator Lindsay Lorigo said. Now we are being asked to move forward without competitive bidding, to commit even more public resources to a system that has yet to prove itself. Supporters of ErieNet have maintained that the network will provide critical broadband infrastructure and improve connectivity throughout Erie County once it becomes operational. The project remains under development, with legislators continuing to seek additional information regarding costs, timelines, and future management plans. End of article. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. This article is entitled Customs and Border Arrests in Marilla by Shelley Ferrullo. A targeted operation conducted by U.S. Customs and Border Protection at a solar construction site on Two Rod Road resulted in approximately a dozen arrests on June 8th, according to information presented at the Wales Town Board meeting the following evening. Erie County Sheriff's Deputy Matthew Malacan, who was present at the scene, told town officials that federal agents initially were seeking one employee with an outstanding warrant at the solar project site, which is currently under construction. According to Malacan, after law enforcement arrived, the names of other workers were checked through law enforcement databases, resulting in the arrest of approximately 12 individuals. Malacan said the sheriff's office received numerous calls from residents reporting that people were running along Two Rod Road and entering Buffalo Creek during the operation. The Erie County Sheriff's Office did not take anyone into custody during the incident, Malacan said. Deputies assisted by securing the area for U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents and members of the New York State Police. End of article. Here's an article entitled SPCA Launches Adoption Promotion Through September. The SPCA serving Erie County is waiving adoption fees on select animals every Wednesday through September 30th as a part of a summer adoption campaign designed to help more pets find permanent homes. The promotion, called Waived Fee Wednesdays, applies to animals 1 year of age and older available for adoption at the SPCA's shelter at 300 Harlem Road in West Seneca. Off-site adoption locations are not included in the campaign. SPCA officials said additional flash specials may be offered on certain Wednesdays depending on shelter population levels. Those promotions could include younger animals and other adoption incentives. The campaign runs through the end of September and is intended to encourage potential adopters to welcome a new pet into their homes during the summer months. Current listings of adoptable animals are available on the SPCA's website. The shelter is open for adoptions from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Prospective adopters must begin the adoption process before 5 p.m. End of article. Here's an article entitled Red Barn Nature's Way. Foundation offers equine therapy by Eric Williams. As a child, Kristen Murray didn't know where she fit in. She had some developmental challenges that went unnoticed and struggled with coordination. She wasn't sure what she was good at, but she knew one thing. She loved horses. I was always drawn to horses, Murray said. I made my parents stop and look at horses on the side of the road and begged them for years to sign me up for a lesson. And then when I took my first lesson and rode, it was a no-brainer. It was like everything clicked. I was good at it. I excelled in the show ring, and horses became my purpose. Now it's super important to me to give back to kids and adults that may need a little extra help. A native of Western New York, Murray grew up an active member of the Erie County 4-H and the AHANY Horse Club, and has owned and shown Arabian horses. In addition to being a licensed occupational therapist, OT, Murray is a registered therapist with the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship International. Her passion for the incorporation of equine movement and the natural environment as treatment strategies in OT practice ignited as a graduate student at D'Youville University. She went on to pursue clinical specialty through the American Hippotherapy Certification Board in the incorporation of equine movement, or hippotherapy, as a powerful treatment strategy in her professional medical practice. In 2020, Murray created Red Barn Occupational Therapy, a 10-acre farm in Orchard Park, to use a horse's movement as a medical treatment tool to improve independence and quality of life for children with special needs, or developmental delays. I channel a horse's movement to utilize and make a difference in the underlying systems of function in a person's body, Murray explained. So every time a horse takes a step with a rider, it's actually the same movement pattern that it would be if the person were walking. So it influences the rider's pelvis. The movement of the horse provides the child's brain a template with the muscles to kind of figure out, oh, this is balance, this is reciprocal movement, and it allows the child's pelvis to strengthen in the same way as if it were walking. Then it's the job of the therapist, who's specially trained to manipulate the movement of the horse to meet the right challenge for the patient. So, say you're sitting on top of a horse and you're not walking, and you're just passively experiencing the movement. Well, the horse's pelvis, while it's walking, is actually influencing your pelvis in such a way that it would if you were walking yourself, which allows patients to develop foundational trunk strength. All of our ability to sit up against gravity and actually do anything starts in the pelvis. So it's strengthening the core, but also providing a template, like a neuromotor template for movement for patients that maybe could not have experienced that movement on their own. I've seen kiddos who were non-ambulatory gain the coordination and strength to be able to walk. And then from a sensory level, the movement of the horse is helping to regulate these kiddos to meet their thresholds, which allows for neurons to fire. It allows for the brain to put it all together and maybe produce speech that they've had in there all this time, but it's just not been able to come out yet. I've seen a lot of kids say their first words while on a horse. In 2024, Murray created Red Barn Nature's Way Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3, to expand on the people that can receive equine and nature-based therapy wellness programs. I saw the progress we were making with young patients, but I also then saw the ripple effect that being at the farm and being outdoors in nature was having on their families as well, Murray said. It really became almost a point of respite, too, for families to come and just be at peace, whether it's just kind of take a walk or be with the animals. So I thought this would be really cool to expand the programming beyond clinical and then open it to people of all abilities and walks of life. The goal of Red Barn Nature's Way Foundation, the nonprofit, is to build independence and quality of life for people of all abilities. The foundation has gotten interest from various different groups, especially veterans, including the Wounded Warrior Project. According to the RBNWF website, through activities like grooming and leading, veterans build a relationship with the horses that requires patience, focus, and consistency. They often describe feeling seen and valued in a way they haven't experienced elsewhere. First responders and medical professionals, two fields that experience high stress and trauma, are also invited to visit. Therapy with nature offers a restorative approach to supporting mental health and well-being. We also offer some wellness programs on Mondays and Wednesdays to individual families and solo adults, Murray said. There are outdoor programs and educational classes. We've had a lot of interaction in the community over the last 2 years, and it's exciting to see the interest grow. For people that are interested in learning more, they can go online to rbnwf.org, that's rbnwf.org, or email Kristen, 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 at redbarntherapy.com. Red Barn Nature's Way Foundation has an annual fundraiser coming up at the end of June. Farm and Field Fest will be held at 6317 Newton Road, Shelter 15 in Chestnut Ridge Park from 3 to 8 p.m. Friday, June 26th. Along with the chicken dinner, there will be the Hitching Post ice cream trailer, the Village Voyager adventure bus, live music, face painting, and a basket raffle. All proceeds from Farm and Field Fest go directly toward supporting therapeutic programs, farm maintenance, and animal care. Tickets may be purchased at rbnwf.org/farmandfield-fest, F-E-S-T. End of article. Here's an article entitled Public Workshop Planned on Aurora Natural Resources Inventory. Residents are invited to learn about and provide input on the town of Aurora's developing natural resources inventory during a public workshop scheduled for June 25th. The workshop will be held at 6:30 p.m. in the Municipal Center boardroom at the Aurora Municipal Center, 575 Oakwood Avenue. The project is being led by the Town of Aurora's Open Space Committee and Climate Smart Committee Task Force. The Natural Resources Inventory will serve as a public document cataloging the town's environmental, historical, and cultural resources to help inform future planning and conservation efforts. During the meeting, project team members will provide an update on the inventory's progress and gather feedback from residents interested in protecting and preserving Aurora's natural resources. Town officials encourage community members to attend and participate in the discussion as the inventory is developed. End of article. Here is the memories column, memories section of the East Aurora Advertiser for this issue. The first is 15 years ago, June 18th, 2011. Elizabeth Mason, a 2008 East Aurora High School graduate and current student at Houghton College, spent the month of May studying in San Jose, Costa Rica. Elizabeth went on a trip to the volcano Arenal in the Pacific North. Members of the Friends of the East Aurora Library have been working hard assembling more than 30 theme baskets which will be raffled to benefit the Aurora Town Public Library. The baskets include fun festivities such as wine, children's toys, and candies. Many of these baskets consist of generously donated items. Drawings will take place Saturday, June 25th. The East Aurora Garden Club and Rotary Club donated trees that were planted following this year's Tree City USA ceremony on Arbor Day. Garden Club, Tree Board, and Rotary Club members include Carol Griffiths, Lynn Chimera, and Ellen Neumeyer, A.J. Block, Paul Blowers, and George Janowski. 30 years ago, June 18, 1996. Keith Bender, one of many lifeguards at the East Aurora Community Pool, watches out for swimmers as they appreciate the pool on a hot summer day. The pool is open to everyone and will remain open throughout the summer. The annual Outdoor Fine Arts Show will be held on Saturday and Sunday, June 29th and 30th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the middle school campus, East Aurora. There will be judging for the entries, which include oil, watercolor, pastel, etc., and they will be sold at the Roycroft Summer Festival of Fine Crafts and Antiques presented by RAIA. 8 lifelike Annette Himstedt dolls in the Toy Town Museum gift shop are being raffled off to children in East Aurora. The winner will be drawn after 500 tickets are sold and will be able to select the doll of their choice. 45 years ago, June 18, 1981, the East Aurora Fire Company extends its appreciation to Rix Jennings for a dozen drawings he has made for them of the company's fire trucks. Mr. Jennings gave them the first drawing in 1974 and since then has drawn each piece of equipment. The drawings are displayed along the meeting room wall. Carol DiNicola, an art student at Iroquois Central High School, has won second place in the poster contest for high school students organized by the Erie County chapter. An award and check for $35 was presented to her. Her piece, was titled "Acceptance is Up to Us." The Western New York branch of the National League of American Pen Women will hold its annual exhibit at the Roycroft Gallery. Members' art and literary works will be on display, and an opening reception will be held in the afternoon. Local members include Virginia Cornwall, Ruth A. Schmidt, Dr. Mary Attia Spahn, Virginia Vidler, and Evelyn Underwood. Jacqueline Krantz is an honorary lifetime member. During the Roycroft Convention weekend, there will be a program of conversations with artists and writers. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. 60 years ago, June 18, 1966, the recently formed Kiwanis Club of Wales conducted its first project last Saturday. A roadside cleanup was conducted for the entire town. 2 dump loads of trash were collected between 8 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Boy Scout Troop 251 assisted the 15 Kiwanians. A wiener roast was held after the work was completed. Members of the DAR placed flags at the graves of 7 of the 15 veterans of the Revolutionary War interred at Old Oakwood Cemetery last Sunday. Representatives of the Abigail Fillmore and Catherine Pratt Horton chapters, Daughters of the American Revolution, and the Buffalo chapter, Sons of the American Revolution, gathered to honor Alvin Burt, Cyrus Fillmore, Jacob Pattengill, Oliver Pattengill, Thomas Pratt, Jacob Swain, and Jabez Warren. A king and queen were named at a separate item. A king and queen were named at the junior-senior prom held last Sunday at Iroquois Central School. Ronald Guard was named king, and Pat Drushler was named queen. Prince was Jim Hunt, and Princess Onali Munn. Finally, here is the section from 100 years ago, June 18, 1926. All children who have gardens of flowers or vegetables, or those who love wildflowers, may exhibit them at a garden show to be held in the late part of the summer. Exhibit 1 will be the best flower bloom of its kind. Each of the exhibits includes plants that local children have grown themselves. The children will be divided into 2 classes, and prizes will be given to the winners. 18 local Girl Scouts have recently been given the nature study test by their teacher, Mrs. Hiles. Their eligibility to second-class scoutship depends upon their making a passing grade, as well as their being allowed the privileges of scout camp life. The graduation exercises for the senior class of the East Aurora High School will be held on Tuesday evening at the high school. Superintendent H.W. Mead will make the address of the evening, and the usual awards and presentations will be made. The high school orchestra will furnish the music, and Mrs. Whiting will have a vocal number. End of article. Here is a letter to the editor from Kathleen King of Hamburg. Corruption is killing the American dream. Dear editor, the fact that Mr. Trump sued himself and tried to get $10 billion of taxpayer money before settling, quote unquote, for $1.8 billion may be old news. That the Attorney General Blanche backed away from this settlement because the judge may consider the suit a fraud upon the court gives the illusion that justice is holding. But there is a con within the con. A tax evasion get-out-of-jail-free card good forever for the president and his family, and a blueprint for future fleecing of the actual taxpayers. Our president is emboldened and enabled by equally shameless people like Todd Blanche that surround him. There is no shame reflex, only what can I get away with? The greater the theft, the stronger the flex to taunt his quote-unquote enemies. NASDAQ condones gross market manipulation by propping up a SpaceX stocks so that Mr. Musk makes hundreds of billions. Mr. Trump's toothless executive order means AI goes unregulated. Rural America is ravished for its resources to benefit very few. Insider trading by the President, Congress, and their friends is rampant. Super PACs pouring billions into elections profoundly corrupts our democracy. Constant chaos, war, pardons for sale, political persecution, silencing critics. All of this blatant corruption is meant to exhaust us. The marketplace isn't fair. The massive corporate conglomerates become too big to fail. We feel we cannot fight them. We can, and we must. A fair marketplace where anyone might live the American dream depends on it. We have one powerful weapon, us. Americans voting out the corrupt, ignoring the rhetoric, and insisting on real, timely consequences for the lawbreakers within government. Justice and the common good must prevail. And don't start with the low-hanging fruit. Pull that sucker up by the roots. End of letter. Here is a second letter titled Reflecting on How Juneteenth Became a Holiday, and it's sent by Judith Geer of Holland. Dear Editor, this Friday, June 19th, Americans celebrated the holiday called Juneteenth. The word is a Black English amalgamation in grammatical terms, a portmanteau, of the words June and 19th, which was the day in 1865 that the last remaining black slaves in Texas were informed that they were free, although legally they had been since 1863. The freedmen and their descendants throughout Texas began celebrating that day year after year. Then black citizens in other southern states joined in, and after the Great Migration, in which millions of rural blacks migrated north and west in the early to mid-20th century, the entire nation heard of the joyful remembrance. In 2021, Congress and President Joe Biden designated June 19th as a federal holiday, commemorating not just the freedom of a small group of Texas slaves, but the entire concept of the end to an evil thing that was redeemed by courage, forbearance, and devotion to justice. Sadly, there are some in our society who disparage the ideals under which the Juneteenth holiday was created and continues to be celebrated. They want to, quote-unquote, forget past wrongs. Slavery was the biggest national wrong, in my opinion, even going so far as expressing a desire to expunge them from our nation's history books so that others, it's apparent they mean white people, won't feel bad. We all see the southern states scudding quickly like storm-filled clouds back into an era that demonizes and scorns those who are dark-skinned. We see a federal administration that willingly turns a blind eye to such behavior. Recently, I read Senator Cory Booker's new book called Stand. It is overflowing with very thoughtful fables on building a society that works for everyone. He speaks of the effort by mostly right-wingers to change or even ban parts of our past for their own twisted purposes. He says controlling how we understand our history is a powerful tool in the hands of those who wish to exert their control over the American people. If we allow, he continues, our libraries and museums to be dismantled, we will lose the connective tissue within our communities that binds us together. We will lose who we are. The end of slavery, which is what Juneteenth really celebrates, freed more than black people. It freed all Americans from our greatest national sin. What a pity that some can't see that, as Senator Booker says. We are, he says, not a lesser nation because we admit to injustice. We are a great nation because courageous Americans from all backgrounds stood up to end those injustices, tell the truth, and confront wrongs. However painfully, Americans fought back and strode forward. Juneteenth is as American a holiday as Thanksgiving and the 4th of July. Learn about it and celebrate the incredible faith, devotion, and bravery of those who made it a reality. End of letter. This article is entitled East Aurora Lions Club to hold annual chicken barbecue June 28th. The East Aurora Lions Club will hold its annual drive-through chicken barbecue on Sunday, June 28th at a new location and on a new date this year. This event has been held on Mother's Day in the past. The fundraiser will take place from noon to 3 p.m. or until sold out at the American Legion Post 362, 1 Legion Drive, East Aurora. Tickets are $16 in advance and $18 on the day of the event. Advance tickets may be purchased at the Bank of Holland branch on Quaker Road in East Aurora by calling 716-217-0244 or by scanning the QR code featured on event flyers. The phone number again is 716-217-0244. Proceeds from the barbecue will support the charitable programs and community service efforts of the East Aurora Lions Club. Funding helps provide assistance to local food pantries, libraries, and the Rural Outreach Center, as well as scholarships for graduating high school seniors and support for other local organizations. The club also contributes to programs that assist individuals with visual impairments, support children in need, and provide disaster relief efforts. End of article. Here's an article from the Sports and Leisure section entitled East Aurora Athletes Earn Medals at State Track and Field Championships. Members of the East Aurora boys and girls track and field teams brought home multiple medals and podium finishes at the New York State Track and Field Championships held June 13th to 14th at Webster Schroeder High School in Rochester. The two-day competition featured the top athletes from classes A, B, and C, along with Federation competitors from across New York State. It was the first time the state meet was held on a Saturday and Sunday schedule. Leading East Aurora's performance was senior Addie Miller, who earned 2 state medals. Miller finished 4th in the 100-meter hurdles and tied for 3rd place in the high jump, clearing 5 feet 4 inches and narrowly missing 5'6". On the boys' side, Jonas Siebold captured East Aurora's first state medal of the weekend with a 6th place finish in the 800-meter run on Saturday. Siebold later anchored the Blue Devils 4x800-meter relay team to a Class B runner-up finish. The relay team of Max Fraser, Luke Wright, Tony Chakonsky, and Siebold posted a time of 7:53.12, just 1 second off the school record. Fraser opened with a 1:59.0 split before Wright ran a 1:59.7 and Chakonsky added a 1:58.5 leg. Siebold closed the race with a 1:55 split to secure 2nd place in Class B. Miller also competed in the long jump, turning in a strong performance, but finishing outside the medal positions. The girls' 4x800 relay team faced difficult circumstances after multiple weather delays interrupted competition. Following more than 2 hours of delays caused by thunderstorms and lightning, the team was given just 20 minutes to warm up before racing. The relay's lead runner, Kaylin Houghton, became entangled in a pack of runners and fell early in the race. Despite the setback, Houghton recovered and completed her leg before handing off to Miller, who recorded a strong 2:24 split. Emma Martino followed with a 2:27 leg, and anchor Riley Pierce closed in 2:15 as the team finished 10th in Class B. Our teams did really well this weekend, Coach Walt McLaughlin said. It's a tough 2-day meet with a lot of waiting around between events, especially with the weather delays. McLaughlin praised the boys relay team for delivering season best performances against strong Class B competition. The boys really turned up the heat and turned in season best performances to bring home the silver, he said. The competition is really strong in Class B, and the boys running 13 seconds faster than their Class C state title a year ago really proves that. He also credited the girls team for persevering through the delays and adversity. The girls team showed up strong and ready, with Addie bringing home medals in 2 events, along with the 4x800 relay considering the delays and bad luck on the track, McLaughlin said. The state championships concluded another successful season for East Aurora. Miller set school records in both the long jump and the 100-meter hurdles. The boys team captured the Section 6 Class B championship, and the girls squad earned a runner-up finish at the sectional championships. End of article. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the East Aurora Advertiser on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. This article is entitled Community Walking Group Begins Meeting in East Aurora by Shelley Ferrullo. A new community walking group designed to encourage social connection and healthy living began meeting this week in East Aurora. The program, organized by local health educator and wellness coach Jared Beyer, offers free group walks on Tuesday mornings at 6 a.m. and Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. at various locations throughout the village. We'll basically walk and talk, Beyer said. I'm trying to get people who are already out walking together instead of by themselves and create more a community involvement type of thing. Participants receive weekly emails announcing meeting locations and routes. Walks may begin at locations such as Hamlin Park, Majors Park, or other areas throughout the village. According to Beyer, approximately 20 people have already registered through an online survey, with more than 60% of respondents aged 50 and older. The survey allows organizers to gather basic information about participants' walking habits and includes liability acknowledgments regarding health and physical activity. Beyer, who has worked in health education and wellness coaching for more than 30 years, said the idea grew out of his experience leading workplace wellness programs that incorporate walking and movement into discussions about health. He said walking provides numerous health benefits, including stress reduction, improved cardiovascular health, maintenance of bone density, and better management of blood pressure and blood sugar levels. Walking together as a group has the ability to enhance physical health as well as mental and emotional health. Anything that's social, where we're engaging with other people, he said, enhances the overall health effects. The walks are intended to be low-key and conversational rather than structured exercise sessions. Beyer hopes participants will meet new people while exploring different areas of the village. While the program is expected to continue through the fall, winter activities remain uncertain because of weather conditions and icy sidewalks. Beyer said future walks could potentially expand to parks and trails outside East Aurora. The first walks are scheduled to begin Tuesday, June 16th. They began already, it appears, and Thursday, June 18th. End of article. Here is the editorial for this week's edition of the East Aurora Advertiser. It's entitled, Looking Back to See Ahead. As the United States approaches the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, there is no shortage of conversations about the future. Perhaps this milestone is an opportunity to spend some time looking backward and celebrating our past, as we did with the big boy steam engine passing through the area last week. It was symbolic of how much we have accomplished. Perhaps we need to reach across the entire country like a traveling train in order to continue to see success. The Declaration of Independence was more than a breakup with a king and living under a traditional monarchy. It was a declaration that ordinary people possessed rights that do not come from the government, royalty, or any institution, which was a radical idea during a time where power and wealth were concentrated in the hands of a privileged few. For many who came to the American colonies, the New World offered opportunities that were difficult to find in Europe. Land ownership, economic mobility, and the ability to chart one's own future were attainable goals for people who would never have enjoyed such prospects under rigid social hierarchies. While Europe produced great achievements in art, architecture, and culture, its castles, palaces, and cathedrals also serve as reminders of how wealth and power were concentrated among monarchs, aristocrats, and religious institutions. And if you visit Europe today, you are reminded with each tour of a castle or cathedral that for centuries nearly all of the resources within a country went to the king or the Catholics. Nearly 250 years later, those lessons remain relevant. Questions surrounding elected officials' personal financial interests, business dealings, and potential conflicts of interest are not new, but they strike at the heart of the principles the founders sought to protect. A healthy republic depends on public confidence that government decisions are made for the common good, not for private gain. The anniversary of the Declaration should not simply be a celebration of what happened in 1776. It should be a reminder of why it happened. The freedoms we strive to enjoy are the result of individuals willing to challenge authority and insist that government exists to serve the people, not the other way around. The founders left us a republic built on the belief that liberty requires surveillance, power must be checked, and citizens must remain engaged in their own governance. And with this scrutiny, this country also needs people to volunteer to run for elected office and join the armed forces to defend our ideals. Before we spend too much time debating where America is headed next, we should first remember why it began. Looking back may be the best way to see the path forward. End of editorial. Here's an article under the section Main Street Matters by Ria Desai, Upgrading Your Closet the Affordable Way. Ria is a junior at the Park School of Buffalo in Snyder and lives in East Aurora. The walk-in closet on Lower Main Street in East Aurora focuses on maintaining an organized, colorful, and welcoming environment with an assortment of secondhand clothing from everywhere and for everyone. The store houses an art gallery in the back, offering visual entertainment as well as a shopping opportunity, all packaged into one visit. To connect the two spaces, artwork is hung in the front area and intentionally displays handmade jewelry to give the clothing store an artsy atmosphere. It accepts secondhand clothing from anyone, creating a space where different styles are able to come into contact and blend perfectly together, making it the perfect shopping destination for anyone. A wide variety of clothing can be found, including men's, women's, and children's categories, in addition to accessories, shoes, and other unique items. Shoes and purses are the primary draw, as customers consistently head towards these items upon entering the store. However, once inside the shop, something else is bound to catch everyone's eye, drawing them deeper into the unique style of the boutique. Vintage items, including those that date back to the 1930s, are frequently sold right away due to modern shoppers enjoying the ability to mix diverse styles. In order to balance the value for both the person selling the clothes and the buyer, the walk-in closet talks to the customer about the item's original cost, delving into online pricing and setting their prices slightly lower to ensure inventory moves through the store at a rapid pace. There's so much clothes being wasted, and that's why I like to keep the prices lower in order to keep clothes moving, store owner Cheryl Winook said. I like to keep the clothes out of a landfill a little bit longer. New clothes are taken in daily, and in order to prevent crowding, some items are marked down after 90 days or less. There are $5 and $2 clearance racks that can be found in the store as well. Clothing that does not sell on the clearance racks is then donated to Our Lady of Victory Church and other organizations. If a community member comes in who is experiencing emergency hardships, the shop does not hesitate to directly provide them with clothes. The shop has recently donated to victims of house fires and other emergencies who come into the shop asking for assistance. As with many secondhand stores, the walk-in closet carries a strong distaste for textile waste and mass manufacturing. The low pricing strategy is an intentional effort to keep clothes moving and to prevent them from entering landfills. Recycling has become a usual practice, and the shop never purchases new shopping bags, rather deciding to reuse bags entirely. Hygiene standards are visibly reflected on the shop's shelves, as items are only accepted if they are in good, clean condition. We'll have to cut off this article here because we're running out of time. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the June 18th issue of the East Aurora Advertiser. We read from the East Aurora Advertiser every Saturday at 10 a.m. Your reader has been Kevin Siepel. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Niagara Gazette. At noon, we have the Dunkirk Observer. And at 1 o'clock, we have some of our Northtown Bees, including Amherst, Clarence, Cheektowaga, Lancaster, and Depew. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability,